Welcome to a nutty adventure exploring personal growth and wellness, breaking down the stigma around mental health along the way. Let's dive in because now it's time to show me your nuts.
Good morning and happy Tuesday, everybody. How are your nuts today? Mine are a little scattered. They're kind of everywhere. But that's okay because sometimes you need to throw your nuts up in the air and have them scatter everywhere so they fall down like puzzle pieces. And since I know our guest today loves puzzles, I'm kind of excited that thing just came to my head. So welcome back, freedom seekers. This would be July, the month where we talk about freedom. And I want to see, last week, we've explored the last couple weeks, breaking beliefs and taking action. Today, we're going to talk about how freedom literally fuels your growth. So, what is it that you do that might be painful, but literally it fuels your future growth? So, when you free yourself from things like fear of failure, fear of success, fear of letting things go, growth becomes inevitable. And I have experienced this with our guest today. They are part of how my growth and my letting go of some things so that I can move forward. They're an integral part of that journey. So I am so excited to bring our guest on today. So today we're going to tell stories and we're going to prove it. So the first thing I want to do before we go there, and excuse me while I have 6 screens going where I want, or things where I want them to go, so that I can see the audience saying, "Hey, show me your nuts." So I can see what the audience is saying as we go through this. What growth are you avoiding because you might fail? And what growth are you avoiding because you might succeed? I want you to think about that as we go today. And yes, Facebook is working today. I don't know what's been going on with it, but it's working today. So I'm crossing my fingers and toes, and we'll see what happens. I'll see you guys on the other side, as my favorite band says. So today's guest squirrel is Paula Allen. Paula is an OBM, online business manager, a software agency owner, a VA agency founder, a consultant, a grant writer, and I can't even say all of the things, but she's an all-around business wizardress. And what I know of her journey started, well, I won't maybe we'll get into what I do know of our mutual journeys, but I do know that part of her business journey, part of it started when this site called YouTube, instead of having show notes, and instead of having things about the videos, they literally had PDFs attached to the video. And Paula's journey was connected to that. And that was at the beginnings of the YouTubes. So I know that part of her business journey and part of her multifaceted business empire started at the beginning of the YouTubes. And you hear people talk about the beginning of the Reddits, trying to find the beginning of Reddit or find the bottoms of the Reddits. Think about how long somebody's been working on things when they were at the beginning of the YouTubes. Right? We think about YouTube as being ubiquitous today, and just because it's always there, and you're probably watching on YouTube right now, and you probably either watch TikToks, YouTubes, or some kind of streaming or recorded video on your phone at least once a day. So think about that one. Think about having a business that's got the roots in that. So I am going to welcome to the stage my dear friend, somebody I call a sister, and we'll come up with her squirrel name maybe today. Paula Allen. Welcome to Show Me Your Nuts, sister.
Good morning.
You had your coffee?
Morning. I'm like, oh yes, I've had coffee, of course. there is no life before coffee.
Right. Those of you who don't know, this is Paula Allen, owner of Services for You, among and does many things. So I am so excited to have you on the show because of the integral nature you have to my business, to the show, and to a lot of growth that I've had in the last, what did we figure it, 7 years? Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
7 years.
Yeah, but we probably knew each other when we were young as well, because we grew up in the same area. So.
This is true. We figured out in discussion. Now, we met online.
Yes.
But in discussion, we figured out that it's very likely that we probably went to the same youth day camp when we were kids.
Yes.
And so we probably sang songs together or played games together or did things and didn't even know it.
Right.
Which
it's kind of cool.
The full is a really cool connection. Yeah. So I'm gonna let you. I told people a little bit about your business from my perspective, but I want to hear a little bit about your business from your how you describe your business in the perspective.
Right. So I'm basically a tech and online strategist, growing businesses, basically is what I say. A lot of times, I don't know. I know you threw in the grant writing and stuff, but that's my passion and my first love because of I have a background in child development. I spent 20 years in the early childhood industry before I came online, which I know I just totally dated myself because she said I was here before YouTube. And now I'm like,
YouTubes at the beginning.
I mean, if anyone understands Flash players, they understand how long I've been online. So running businesses online.
Right.
So, yeah. And I did 20 years in the early childhood world before that. So yeah, it's just been a journey. It's fun. I get to learn and play every day in some kind of business, and I just learn and grow all the time.
Well, and I know one of my favorite things that I've heard you talk about is the combination of that early childhood development and the tech thing and the business thing. When you talk about entrepreneurs being like 2-year-olds,
entrepreneurs and 2-year-olds are the same person. They're no different.
Like
good and bad, right? So not only the bad things, but also the good things, right? So because a 2-year-old wakes up every morning with a new perspective and wanting to learn more and do more and things like that. And so it's good and bad. Right. I mean, then also a 2-year-old is also multi shiny object syndrome and all the things too. So, I mean, I have to rein all that in, rein in all those squirrels, but that's what I do in the back end, but it's okay.
Paula is the secret Squirrel Wrangler to the Squirrel Wrangler. Now you guys know the secret. She helps wrangle the Squirrel
Wrangler. I don't know how
well
I do some days.
When I get a little nutty, it's like Paula's like, okay, rein it in. Get focused. Although that actually brings me to how you are intimately involved in my business's story, and kind of to that what I was talking about. Freedom really comes when you dive deep into what is it you're scared of. Are you scared of failing? Are you scared of succeeding? What is it you're doing or not doing that you're scared of? I think we took a deep dive in January or so you helped me take a deep dive in January or so into what was I doing that I really loved and came from my soul, like my purpose, and what was it I was doing that didn't serve me in that, or how were things connected? And we connected all the dots. We threw the nuts up in the air. We let them fall down, and they fell down into the right puzzle pieces. And I say that also because I know that my dear friend Paula here loves puzzles.
Yes, I do.
And literally that actually just came to my mind when I said it earlier. So I was kind of tickled. I was tickled with myself that came together that way. That was not scripted.
I love people puzzles, business puzzles, and toy puzzles.
Yeah, business puzzles, tech puzzles, toy puzzles.
Yeah.
And when you throw things, I talk about throwing things up in the air. When you do that deep dive and when you do the release of things, you're throwing all of the things up in the air and they fall back down. All the positive ones fall back down where they're supposed to fall. And you can see the new picture of where you're going. And you helped me do that. That's one of the things I help people do in the emotional situation and really in things in their life. But it's a lot harder to do that for yourself when that's, yeah, I can do it. I could even do it for myself, but I needed that extra mirror.
Right.
And because of your knowledge of tech in the same way I do, you understood where I was coming from there. You understood some things. But just in general, the way that you gently guided me through those things, we came up with what really was my passion. One of the things that happened out of it was literally this show.
Yes.
One of the other things is like some more cohesive description of my business. And there's some future pieces that I never expected back in January, but are super congruent with where I know I need to be. That fell in, some of the puzzle pieces don't fall back down from the sky until like months later.
Yes.
And
because they don't fit at that time or in that little puzzle, right? So
they didn't fit at the time, but they
they're still there.
There's puzzle pieces that dropped for me like what, about a week ago, maybe.
Yeah.
A little over a week ago, I had a major puzzle piece fall back down and went, oh, well, that's interesting. And I had
the thing was you turned around and looked at what we put in place and what your passion was. You went back to that and does it fit? Does it align and stuff? And you were able to make your decisions from that alignment of what the best way to go forward was.
You are so spot on. So what we did in January was this deep dive into the soul's purpose, came up with like what was true to the Squirrel Wrangler. And then every decision since then has been, it was easier for every decision since then for me to look back and go, oh, does this fit? Nope, it doesn't fit. Not doing it anymore. And it was easier to let things go. So I'm not going to say I'm a hoarder, but I'm not going to say that I don't have lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Emotional stuff, physical stuff. I'm the best digital hoarder on the planet. I can hide things in my MacBook and in my digital devices that I can't find forever. Thank God Mac has a really good search function. But that letting go of some of the things that I would not have let go of 8 months ago, 9 months ago. I would have held tight to them and went, in fact, one of the big ones I'm letting go of right now, the spot on G. It's one of the big things I'm getting ready to let go of. Really surprised me. It hit me just about 2 weeks ago, or maybe it hit me about 3 weeks ago, and I sat on it and thought about it, looked back at that thing, and then finally had a discussion with Paula, and I was like, I think I got to let it go. And she's like, I think you were kind of like, all right. you know, that's when you
Well, we
knew.
actually touched on it in January. You don't remember because you weren't even listening
I
or
wasn't ready
thinking.
to.
And you said something. I didn't say it. You said something about what you're letting go of. And so I knew it was going to drop at some point. I just didn't know when it was. And I wanted to see how you were processing, because it's a big fear when you let go of all the stuff behind you, right? It's like, because now you're walking into something that it's like, but that was almost my identity. I did that a little bit, that was part of what I do.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing in that particular thing, I actually have replaced it with something else. I had to replace it first, and I had to make sure that I still could feed that piece of me. Because if you get rid of something and it's something that feeds you,
Right.
it's kind of like, oh, I ate pizza all my life, and then I go keto, and I've got to figure out a way to still eat pizza or something
There's
like it.
cauliflower. I can do this.
Exactly, right? So you've got to like replace, it's nut replacement therapy.
There you go.
There's our new tag. There's a hashtag born every week. Nut replacement therapy. That's one of them.
That's funny.
So when you let things go like that, because the minute I woke up literally, like, I think I woke up in the middle of the night a couple weeks ago, realizing that, oh, it's time to do that. And it kind of blindsided me. Like you said, I said it and yeah, I don't remember saying it in January, but we have archived footage of said meeting. And so now I want to go back and listen to it and see, because there might be other nuggets in there that I said that I'm not really ready for. When you make every decision based on that, where is my heart?
Yeah.
Life starts flowing differently. And it literally is a form of freedom.
Yes.
To the extent that you start feeling more comfortable in your own self, you start feeling you're not as rushed, you're not tired, you're not, well, you can still be tired. But it causes a really big shift in how you do things. What age would you say a business owner who goes through that, what child development stage are they at?
Probably, honestly, you go through that at a couple of age stages in your development, and it kind of depends on your kind of where you're at in your life, like in your family life, right? So, but I think honestly, women in their 30s go through this a lot, like mid to late 30s go through this kind of thing, and in their 50s they go through it again. But I also think that when you're a child, you go through it a little bit differently, because what you're doing when you're a child is your brain is still developing, and so you get a different perspective depending on your development of your brain. And so when you're 8, you go from concrete thinking into more, you can dream things, and you can think things up, and you can look at more than one side of something. And so, but again, when you're about 15 or 16, you kind of go through that again, because then you have to really kind of put a foot in the sand of who you're going to be a little bit more. And that's when, like, a lot of the rebellion and that crazy stuff, right?
I don't know anything about that, do I, Cashew Squirrel?
And so because you're exploring on who you are, you do it a little bit differently as a child than you do it as adult, right? You probably don't burn as many bridges, because if you're really stable in your teenage years, you don't burn the bridges forever. You don't understand, it's like you don't understand that. When you're an adult, you understand how to navigate it a bit better.
When you're a teenager, you're going through that choices, decisions, rights, and responsibilities. You're learning that cube of decisions and how they impact things. And some people learn that one. Some people learn that one at that point, and some of them some people do not quite get that one, and they keep going and replaying that in their life, and that's due to baggage that was implemented earlier in their life, the unconscious nuts that were stored away for you that you didn't realize you had.
Right.
And sometimes I think sometimes those nuts that are stored away for you that you don't realize you have, that's that when it comes back when you're in your 30s, because
Yeah.
you're running those
That's what I
programs
think.
over and
I
over.
think that's when you're fixing that's when women, I think, go through, especially, I don't know about men, but as much, but women tend to go through that a lot more in their late 30s, because, or 35 to 40, just as you're kind of cleaning up a lot of that stuff.
And I think those
Which is so
who are in
freeing, right?
Yeah, those who are in astrology might they would be able to explain this a little better than I do, but like the whole Saturn cycles.
It's like a 7-year return or something at 35 or something.
And then going through it again in your 50s. And that one I can attest to, being being just on the other side of the mid of that.
I understand that.
Towards the 61, so we go through these things over and over in our, I think we go through the cycles as adults, but also, our entrepreneurial growth, I think, also mirrors in many ways, like you talk about, it mirrors our human development. So you go through your,
Thank
you
God
can
it
be
doesn't take as long.
you can be a 2 or 3-year-old entrepreneur at like the first 6 months or something, or you could be a 2 or 3-year-old entrepreneur and having been in business for yourself 7 years. So it's not equatable to the same years, but you go
but it's a growth stage. It's a cycle. It definitely is. It's kind of fun. I always, when I talk about the teenage stage, I can do it myself. I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to make it happen.
Oh, I'm so glad. I think I'm past that one. Because that's taking that deep dive puts you in more of the adult. Okay, I need to settle down, but in that settling down, I also need to look at my heart, and maybe it's that 30-ish year old, because you've gone through lots of things, but you also are really getting back in touch with your heart.
And the thing to remember is you have to go through every stage. Otherwise you don't develop to the next one, because you have to make the mistakes, have the failures, do the thing, right? And see what actually happens, and kind of learn from those lessons. So,
So what about in your story, in the learning from the lessons? Do you have any stories that are like something like a pivotal failure, or let's not call it failure, but a pivotal fall or F up or whatever, that led to your biggest growth?
I do. I have a few. Obviously, we all have failures that are very devastating. So I think my biggest growth time in my whole years has been when I let go of my marriage and raise and decided to do it on my own with my 3 children. So I was in my mid to late 30s at the time. So I was right at that time, which is kind of funny, because it's like, of course you did that then, is what people say that know the astrology, right? But still, it's like I had been married for 17 years. My children were all low teens at that point. So I got married young. And the biggest thing is then I released the fact that I got to kind of create the life that I wanted. And so, of course, it didn't look like it then. Then it was like, I need to feed these children. What am I going to do? And I was running a business I had a home daycare that made 6 figures a year and stuff. And and so I could have just kept doing that. But I also was done with that. I finished a degree in college and that kind of stuff. So I was reinventing. I got a chance to reinvent. And I also, I also, a big pivot right there was I also found Jesus. So my Christianity grew. I had never been in church before in my life. And so it was a huge time of mine, but it also was a time of introspection. So I spent the next 8 years introspected, basically learning, growing, just being who just trying to figure out who I really was. I had never in my life been able to figure out who I was. And that is where everything just, I'm able to like move forward now, but it took a long time to go through all of that and do all of the things and heal all the things and do and forgive myself for all the failures that happened before that and all of that stuff. But it also made me go, who are you? What are you? Why are you here? You're here for a reason. Every person is here for a reason. There's a purpose for
At least
your
one,
life on this planet.
right?
So what is that? And let's make that align with your life, right?
We've got a
It's like-
comment. We've got a comment of your life pattern sounds like mine. And what I know of cashew squirrel's life pattern is that, or cashew quilt, sorry, not cashew squirrel, cashew quilt. What I know of that life pattern is my contributions to it in good and bad ways, I'm sure. But when we were talking about teenagers, it's like
remember parents don't really remember the teenage years. I talk to my kids and they're like, do you remember when I did this? I'm like, no, and I don't want to. I'm like, I remember the wonderful things. I think you're amazing now. That's what matters.
I think I've heard versions of that, although I still have huge regrets of what I did.
Yeah, I think we carry our own regrets more than our parents carry the regrets for that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm sure that's true to an
because
extent.
there was also learnings in all of those that, right? You have to go through, like I said before, you have to go through it. I mean, whatever that life journey is for you, you have to go through it. There's a reason for it.
Oh, yeah, and you know, one of the reasons that I went through being a pain in the butt teenager was actually that later part of my purpose in life was actually working in, as a social worker, as a therapist. One of the population group I worked with for years, I'll call it in my first career, as my first social work career, I worked with teens, and I predominantly worked with teens who actually were worse than what I ever was.
Right.
But the reason, I had that level of empathy about what they were going through at the same time as I understood what an adult was. Plus it was probably some form of penance that I felt like I had to do.
Right.
Although, thankfully now that I do all telehealth, I won't work with kids, not because I don't want to work with kids.
So fun fact, I was a math major when I first went to college, and I chose not to because I didn't want to work with teenagers.
and then you went and worked with the littles and the parents.
I can do littles any day.
Oh no, it's the parents. It's not the littles.
The parents are the thing. Yes.
It's challenging. Sometimes it's challenging to work with parents.
Yeah.
But, that said, I mean, I work with humans every day. I still do. And even though I don't do therapy full time anymore, I still work with individuals' emotions. And actually just this week, I had a huge lesson about the dark side of empathy. And it hit me like a big old ton of bricks falling on me. And it was hard. It was really hard to go through, especially because I was out in public and I had some responsibilities that I was taking care of at the same time. And this thing just hit me. And it's like, what do you do when something like that hits you? And it's your old puzzle. It's another puzzle piece coming from somewhere, smacked me in the middle of things, and a lesson that I thought I had learned a long time ago. And boy, howdy, I was learning it again. But I think learning it again was a way to protect my future self. And to teach others about it. So actually, if you follow me on LinkedIn, there's an article on my LinkedIn that, and I don't have the link for that newsletter, but it's the Squirrel Scribbles newsletter on LinkedIn. And if you message me, I'll be happy to send you that article, because it teaches people about their how doing something you love and doing something in love for someone else sometimes can hurt you, and how to protect yourself but still love people at the same time, because your first instinct is to go and go hide, and that instinct actually doesn't fix things. It actually could make things worse. So squirrel moment, tangent. When you finally realized, see, Jessica's on it, she's got it. When you finally got through the other side of that, how am I going to feed these kids? was that the same time that you shifted your business, or how did it coincide with that?
Yes and no. I'd spent 20 years in the early childhood industry, and I was done with that industry. I was tired because I was running a daycare center with 125 kids and 20 employees, and it was a lot. And in a not a good set of place in town. So I had a lot of, not that every family doesn't have things, but a lot of extra things that were going on in these little kids' lives. And so that I was working through and helping them and helping my teachers, love them every day. I love these wonderful little beings every day. And so it was just a lot. And I had finished my degree and everything. And then I was like, what am I going to do with this? And so I went out and explored, and I started a nonprofit for somebody. I was an executive assistant and started someone's nonprofit, did all that work. What else did I do during that time? I worked at a couple
of exploratory time. Like,
yeah,
okay, let's go try this. Let's try this. Let's see what.
Yeah, I did a couple other admin jobs, but when I was working at the nonprofit one day, I was trying to figure out a way to make more money, but not leave my children more. Remember, I worked at home up until that was only 2.5 years I'd ever worked out of the house, was those 2.5 years right there. And my kids, I was like, and they were all teenagers. I didn't want to like leave them home any more hours, but I needed to make more money. I wasn't making enough money to cover what I wanted our lives to look like. And so I was very money motivated at the time. And I was like, what can I do? I read a lot. I type a lot. What's that look like? Right. So Yahoo, there was some Yahoo article when Yahoo News was a thing, when that's what everyone went to. And that was probably
right after You've Got Mail.
Yeah, I think it might have still been during that decade. But, right after that. Yeah. And they talked about working online. And so I started learning about transcription and that kind of thing. And so I literally started a transcription company, working for other people inside my home. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I like this working at home. Because remember, I had only worked out in the quote unquote real world for 3 years of my life. I always had I ran businesses. I've been running businesses since I was 10, but I always had my own kind of freedom in that, of making my own, of making it what I wanted it to be.
And well before its time, before. Yeah. I think you and I've shared with each other how we both have had that is my foray into working for myself probably started long before the date I'm getting ready to spit out. But, because I'm sure that I had an entrepreneurial spirit and had things before that. But 2001, I quit my first social work job. I quit and went to work for myself, doing contract work for others. And from 2001 to 2005, that's what I did.
Right.
And I loved it, but I unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever, I had to go back into the regular workforce for a period of time for 10 years total. To stabilize some things, but I kept the dream alive. And then, I knew, it was 2008 I literally started a long journey back to my being, working for myself. And I think both of our journeys that way is that we were ahead of the time, was well before COVID.
Oh,
I mean,
I formed the original Babysitters Club. I should have written the books first.
right. Yeah. Yeah. And see, then you could have totally been retired.
Yeah, there you go.
Like you wouldn't have had to worry about what
I would have enough coffee every day, no matter what.
you would have had, you wouldn't have to worry about how to feed the kids, because that would have been a thing. But I think this also speaks to the freedom, responsibility, and challenge of being 20 years ahead of your time.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the world, at least in my situation, the rest of the world wasn't ready for the work from home thing.
Right.
They saw it as a negative. They saw it as, why are you doing that? Being in your house all day, not talking to other people is not healthy for you. And what they didn't realize was I was already doing video things and things like that 25 whatever years ago.
And to think that the whole world didn't do that shift until COVID.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
And to me,
I'm like, I've been doing this for years, it's like, yeah.
That it took that major thing for the world to do the thing. It took a major event for the world to shift.
But look how much the perspective of the world has shifted now, right? About the work from home. Because I literally used to, you don't work. Like my kids were still in school when I was doing that. And so I would get, we are home. I'm like, no, that's not, I'm working. I have a job, right? I don't have time to run to the school 1,200 times, right? Or whatever,
I do think G's got a point here, though. It's 2025 and they're still not ready for work from home.
Well, they pulled them all back in because it's a control thing, right? So they pulled them all back into offices now. Which
is a whole different shift that I think that shift is going to end as well, but for other reasons. I think because people can see that it's a control thing now, and we couldn't see that it was a control thing.
And it's going to cost them a lot more money.
Mm-hmm.
You always follow the money in business, right? So whatever's going on, if you can't figure out what's going on, follow the money, and you can probably figure it out. And it's a control thing, but it's also about the money. They don't think they're getting enough work out of you for what they're paying you at home, so they're going to bring you back in. But I think it'll flip back around, because I don't think
it's going to flip, and here's why. I think it's going to be the ones who see that, oh, wait a minute, if we flip it this way, we actually can have more. And I'm not going to say money, but have more, all the way around.
Well,
we can have money, but we can also have freedom. We can have happy employees. We can have, and I think there's going to be even more things that, and it's only going to be certain businesses at first.
Absolutely. But it's also, once they they're developing all the technology to make sure that they control you at home too. So literally, if your butt's not in your seat, in the seat that they send you that has the sensor in it, they're gonna know, right? I don't know. Luckily, I work for myself, and that'll never happen. So I don't know.
Exactly, right? Although
I always say I would never be a good employee. I'm not a good employee. I would be fired on day 2, because if you tell me to come to work from 8 to 5, I'm going to be pissy about it, and I'm going to find all the things about it every day. But I'll work from 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day for myself, just fine.
I was just going to say, that's an amazing segue, because I think we should talk about how, as entrepreneurs, freedom as an entrepreneur doesn't necessarily mean what people who aren't entrepreneurs think it means.
Yeah.
They think it means we're sitting, we're sitting at home eating bonbons, or we're going out on vacations all the time, or we're doing this and that. And literally, and they don't understand how working all the time, or working 10 or 12-hour days for yourself, can be a pleasurable or freedom thing. And for me, the freedom is, if I want to stay up till 3 a.m. and work because I know I can sleep late tomorrow, that's freedom to me. And sometimes when I'm in flow, I will work till 3 a.m. and I will send people emails. They could attest to that.
Text.
text at 3 a.m. Yeah, I try and restrain myself and send it as an email because I'm hoping that doesn't wake people up.
It doesn't wake me up, but I'm up sometimes too.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it, is we all have, and I
Right.
think that's the freedom, and that freedom has helped me be healthier, which is additional freedom. I'm healthier physically now in many ways than I was when I was working in corporate, because I can listen to my body, what it says about when it needs to work and when it doesn't. And I think that's in and of itself, that's one of the bigger freedoms.
Absolutely.
In fact, that's one of the reasons I did it. It was because I knew that retirement was not going to look the same for me, for my generation, as it did my parents and grandparents. It just wasn't. So I had to be ready different.
I think entrepreneurs are just built different a little bit, because that they know the flow and if you track what your productivity and stuff like that. I'm sure you've done this because you do so much productivity stuff. And if you track, you can see where your productivity, like how it flows and everything else. And you can plan for that when you're your own boss, right? You can, but in a job that says you have to be there from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, how do you plan for that?
Yeah.
How do you plan for your natural body rhythms? Like, I am not a morning person, but I will get a lot done in the morning when I get up, because I can just focus. I don't turn on any distractions and I can get a ton done. I used to be the 1 and 2 in the morning. My brain from after menopause and everything else is like, it shuts down now and it doesn't work as well at that time of night. And so, unless I've taken a pretty good nap in the middle of the day, but
then we need I might switch you brains sometime. Mine wakes me up at 1 a.m. and says, hey, let's work on this project for 4 hours because it sounds fun.
Yeah. Isn't this fun? There's all these hormone things, right?
Yeah,
but we have the cool thing is the freedom to work around that and to make that work for everything and make everything, it still all flows, and we don't have to worry about answering to someone about it for the most part. I mean, we have clients and we have all these things.
We actually answer to many people, but we don't have to worry about answering to a corporate entity that is in a controlling scenario. I think, and that's and I think that there are ways that even large businesses, large corporations can implement things that can cause that freedom. But so we've kind of been in lots of different places here, but let's look at, so I'm just going to read through and see which thing hits you. It's kind of like pick a topic. Pick a topic.
I'm going to choose my own adventure.
Choose your own adventure. Yeah, because that's what we're doing, right? We're choosing our adventure. So let's choose it here. Why multi-passionate people need freedom the most. How saying yes to failure accelerates success. Grant writing as freedom creation for others. And the connection between personal freedom and business expansion. Let me know which one you might want to repeat to think on.
Let's talk about the personal freedom to business expansion, because that one I've got some thoughts about.
Let's go.
All right. So most people become entrepreneurs and they think, oh, I'm going to be free. And then they don't do anything. They don't grow their business. They don't do the work. And running a business is work. It's still work. If you don't think you're working at your job, your day job, try running a business.
That's so true.
I mean, it was a couple years ago. We were reading something. It said everything you do, and I don't even know. It may have been even longer than that. I read a lot, it said whatever you do today, you will see the fruits of in 90 days. So whatever. So if you're broke today, what were you doing 90 days ago? And so, what were you doing 90 days ago, right? And yeah, you have to. You are your worst employee, by the way.
And your worst boss.
Yeah, you could be your worst boss and your worst. Yeah. So, you have to do the work, and so just thinking that you do have freedom,
Mhm.
but and that's the problem, is you do have freedom.
Uh-huh.
So you can make that choice, like you were even saying earlier, the choices, the responsibilities, and all of that. You have to put that on there. And what's your choice, right? What is and the cool thing is if you, I mean, I love what I do every day. So getting up
Mhm.
and making the choice to work, honestly, I don't work on Sundays. And the point of that is because I have to make myself not work on Sundays.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'll get tired later in the week, and I'm not showing up 100% by Thursday or Friday, and so I'm not very productive. And so, but I love what I do, and so I will like be going, oh, I want to go deal with that, and I don't, so I don't do it for anyone else, but because I need that control around myself, the discipline of
Mhm.
not working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, because burnout happens. And
Yeah.
so yeah.
And has your schedule ever, like, I know my schedule does flips every, and there are, like, my main schedule is kind of settled in, but
Mhm.
even that one is doing a larger flip than usual. But
Right.
and then my, like,
Yes.
Monday and Tuesdays are I call it front loading my week.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
And there's lots of things that they flip inside of the Monday and Tuesday, but the
Mhm.
rest of the week kind of stays the same. You
Mhm.
know, I don't have the Sunday thing. I do frequently do a little bit of work every day.
Mhm.
That's because I found that if I don't do a little bit of work every day and I take like a week off, it is so hard for me to get back on to get back in my flow.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, but you take off every evening by about 5 o'clock. Sometimes you'll come back
exactly, and
on, right?
that's where I was gonna say
So, yeah.
so instead of Sundays, my thing is I take my family time between 5 and 9 almost every evening.
Right.
And some of those times I actually am working on something, but I'm with family when I'm doing it. I'm doing things that, like, I'm reading, I'm checking in on emails or something that I can do quietly. But I don't do meetings in the
Yeah.
evenings. I don't do trainings in the evenings. I don't,
Yeah.
but I'll do something on a
Yeah.
Saturday.
So sometimes in my day, I'll look up and it's 7:30 and I'm like, oh, I haven't even had dinner yet. I guess I should get off this dang computer, right?
Well, have you ever looked up and it was 7 in the evening and you're like, oh, I haven't had breakfast yet? You've had coffee, but not breakfast. Mhm. Yeah. Eating patterns of an entrepreneur. That
Yeah.
could be a show by itself.
Yes, it could.
Um, but I think the flexibility that comes with the freedom, but then there's also within that flexibility doesn't mean that you're not doing anything,
Right.
and that you do things that you love,
Mhm.
right? I mean, I have made some of my most amazing, deepest friendships first online and then get to hug the person in person.
Right.
Um, and and people who I know I can call with something that's really heartbreaking, and I know they're gonna be there for me. Um, the only thing that I can't do with my online coworkers is hug them physically while I'm working with them every day, but otherwise, there are friendships that are that deep.
Yeah.
And it's partly because we all kind of we all understand that entrepreneurial world. It's because we understand what it means to work online, those things. But and I think it's a misnomer. Like I said, people say, "Oh, well, you're at home all day by yourself." Like, well, I'm home all day, but I'm not by myself at
Right?
all.
It's like, is this what you call by yourself? I don't think
Yeah.
so, right?
I literally can go around the corner and knock on somebody's online door at any time during the day and find where my coworkers are.
I know sometimes I have to turn it off because I have to get work done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then there's times you have to turn it off so you can get the other work done. Although I think that's the beauty, because when you're in a corporate world, you could shut your door if you have an office, but if you're in a cube, there's no way that you can just hide out to get your work done. And actually I'm going to swing that back around to productivity. When I was in the corporate world last, I could not get anything done because people were constantly coming up and and asking me questions or this or that. And I loved answering their questions or being there for them, but I didn't get shit done. I can get more done now in an hour than I did in an 8-hour day then. And
Right.
I knew that then. I knew then that if I would have been able to work from home for that job, I would have gotten they would have gotten much more productivity out of me because I would have been able to regulate my own body, mind, uh, focus, all of the things. So I think, I had to give up the stability and the things that come with corporate world in order to get what I have now, but I wouldn't give up what I have now for nothing,
Right.
right? And so, it's this, what do you give up so that you can get the next step?
Yeah. And it's really hard to make that give up, right? To give that up. So yeah, right. Wasting time, lots of wasted time. Doom scrolling.
See, and I don't even understand the doom scrolling because I stay so productive in business related activities that I don't have time to scroll the communications that I need to do. I've had to outsource some of my communications like that because I don't have time to do them myself yet.
Mm-hmm.
Geez, on a roll here. Hang on.
Right.
So I'm going to go back and start at your top.
Right.
When I wasted more time chatting and walking around when I worked in the office. I would arrive early and stay late to get work done. Oh my God. Yeah. So you were working twice as long to get a quarter of the productivity done. And then you're beating yourself up over it. And, and we're not ever alone working from home. I know somewhere I can go right now, right this minute, and there will be people there who I can bounce ideas off of, who I can be with, because we have a platform that we play on.
Well, and what's wrong with being alone? I like being alone.
Well, and that's the shit, is there's both. It's yes and, because there's times where there's too much going on. I need quiet.
Right.
I realize that I'm sitting here chattering away as a squirrel, but there's times where squirrel even needs quiet. And there's times where I need coworkers around me. Even if we are in a quiet room, quiet online space, head down on our things, and we will do Pomodoro sessions together. And I'm going to hit up one of my favorite new hashtags.
Yeah.
Is we,
yeah.
Go brunch is the play. Oh, I didn't even type it correctly. Somebody didn't catch me on that yet.
Yeah. So,
there, let's try again.
Yeah. Go brunch is actually, something that I think is replacing because when I felt that way, I would just go to like a Panera for the day, because you can order from your order from your table, and you can and you could sit there and work all day, and and so you had people around you, but you didn't have to talk to any of them. But there was people and there was things. So Go Brunch is one of those platforms that's kind of bringing that online, which is kind of cool.
The only thing we need to do is be able to get pastries brought to the table.
Well, you can. I mean, there's apps for that, but I will say,
I want the coffee to come to my chair.
Oh yeah, well, even at Panera, you got to get up and go to the bathroom every once in a while.
But accountability when you're doing co-working, there are things you have to build in as an entrepreneur that maybe are, like, I'm not going to call it accountability in corporate. I'm going to call it control. In the entrepreneurial world, it's accountability to, you have to build that in so that you have somebody who you can go, hey, Paula, I just did this and this. What do you think? And you're like, dude, you said you were going to do this and this. What happened? Right? And you need somebody to call you out on your stuff in a loving way so that you can move forward. And we build colleagueships and friendships and to be honest, sisterhoods that we can message each other and check in. Hey, I haven't seen you in a couple weeks. Are you okay? I actually got that message a couple weeks ago. I haven't seen you in a bit. Are you all right? And the funny thing is I wasn't all right. I was having some struggles. And so I think there's energetic connections that are built that go way beyond some of the relationships in the workplace.
Yeah.
And there's lots of reasons for that. Paula, we literally could have a show for like all day show. I know that for sure.
Right.
But since that's probably not a good idea so much.
No, I mean, we probably really have to get to work today.
I want to make sure. Yeah, our bosses are saying, this is fun and all, but I want to tell people where they can find that deep dive. So I just put a link. It's and I'm going to put it up on the screen. Perfect. Of where people can get that deep dive.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite things because we get to go really deep into what the business is and what purpose is and all the things, and kind of put it together and lay out a plan.
Yeah. So if you're in a situation where you're like, you want that freedom, and maybe you've got something in the back of your mind going, I think I want to do this, but I don't know. Or you're stuck and you don't know what to do next. The session I'm talking about with Paula is literally, it's kind of a one-time thing, but it can be a one-time or it can go into other things, other services. Probably one of the most I'm going to so far say one of the most valuable things I've done for my business in 2025 was to do that deep dive. So one of my online colleagues used to say, for the love of all things holy, why are you not doing this? Use the link, go schedule a deep dive with Paula and get yourself unstuck. Put on your floaties.
I love swimming.
Go swim with Paula.
It's because when you go to that link, it has a scuba diver going for a deep dive. That's the picture. No floaties in my world. We go down deep.
Oh, I should have put it as no floaties. Then
you gotta hold your breath.
Yeah, hold your breath. Get ready. Get ready for what it brings to you. So where else can people find you? What else we didn't really dive too deep into some of the other things that some of the services for you, and what people can get. I'm going to put a couple of other links up here.
Yeah. So every week we do, I actually have a tech platform called Go High Level. And every week I do trainings for Go High Level. You don't have to be on my platform. It's for anyone. I found a hole in the market that people just need to help. I mean, especially the do-it-yourselfers just need some help and support sometimes. So every week we just meet and we solve problems. We're like, okay, a lot of times we're fixing funnels and fixing automation and doing tech and just playing around and talking about business. And then I also do office hours twice a month, which is for anything. So I am I'm the chief button pusher in the tech world, in my world. And so I am more than happy to go push the buttons and make something work. A lot of times we're doing calendar integrations, or I don't know, Excel spreadsheets and all the things, or someone's coming for some strategy, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. What are you seeing in the marketplace? That kind of stuff. Those are office hours. And other than that, you can go to my website and find out everything we do. I have a virtual assistant agency, so we do get some back end stuff done. A lot of times what I do though is train other people's virtual assistants to use the tools that they're using, and make sure all those integrations and technology work well for them.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking at how do you build freedom within yourself, freedom by finding your purpose and really being able to make heart-centered decisions in your business that go back to what your heart wants, needs, and what you're here on this planet for. Take the deep dive. if you're not sure about the deep dive yet, but you want to like find out more, or you want to meet Paula, the services-4u.com/office-hours is the best link to go find out more about her.
Yeah.
Thank you, G, for the comment on great show. You're appreciated. I need to circle back with you, by the way. But if you're, want to just find out more, office hours is a great place to kind of see, maybe you've got something that you think Paula can help you with, take it to office hours and she'll be able to say, hey, this is what we might be able to do, or here's a resource that I know of. And if you're a Go High Level client of any Go High Level agency, you can, and it's a long link, I know, but you can go to her group that's on Tuesdays. And frequently you might see me at either of those events because I am either there with my own challenges, or I'm there. Sometimes I'm there just helping out, listening for things. Paul and I have a joke that we share a brain sometimes when it comes to tech. So I will be there. She'll say something and I'll come up with another idea of it, and we bounce ideas off of each other. You've seen a little bit of that today. But we do that in both of our businesses. And, that's one of the things I love about her is I can say something and she knows right where my brain came from with it. And she says something and I have a feeling about it anyway. So Mama J, thank you for coming by and giving us the compliments on the show. If you had one thing to say to people, whether they're a business owner, a not a business owner, haven't ever been, or, maybe they're thinking about it, or maybe they're just tired of what they're doing in the corporate world, what would it be?
Take the space to dream what that looks like, and take one small step to go toward that dream. It's there for a reason. You weren't put that thought wasn't put in your head on accident. No one else has that same thought. So it's there for a reason. And so what does that look? So just take the time to explore that. And it may not be that the whole puzzle comes together today. Puzzles take pieces, right? So there's a piece, and ask for the next piece, and look for the next piece, and look for the next piece.
Puzzles take pieces. I love that. I think you're.
I think that's my blog article today. Thank you. I'm gonna have to go talk about that.
I am now naming you. Are you ready?
Yes. Yeah, I figured.
Well, it really is sister puzzle squirrel. But, yeah, puzzle squirrel. And so now we need breakthroughs happening on the Breakthrough Show Network. What? It's amazing. Because if you don't know, the Breakthrough Show Network, go look at showmeyournuts.online and find out more about the Breakthrough Show Network, because the reason that this show is on this network is because of the alignment of my heart and my purpose that Paula helped me find, put me here, because other networks I had looked at did not fit for my purpose and my being able to serve the world in helping them get breakthroughs. To be honest, one of the services I have is a breakthrough session. But break through your nuts, baby. Break through your nuts. Paula, there aren't enough words or time for me to tell you how much I appreciate you, so I won't do it here. But I do appreciate you being here today, helping me on. And I'd kind of like to say, would you maybe think about coming back sometime later in the year, and we'll dive into another entrepreneurial related topic?
Of course, anytime. As long as I'm not out kissing babies.
That's true. She's got the cutest grandbabies. You guys have no idea.
Well, number 7 should be born here soon.
So always take time to kiss the babies, to hug the friends, to spend time together, because you don't know how nutty your life is other than that. And you need to be able to flex your freedom so that you can kiss the babies, spend time with the moms, hang out with friends, and in your schedule, in what fits with you. And to me, that's what entrepreneurship's all about. It's something that you have helped me find more and more of every time we work on things. And I appreciate that so much. I'm going to look at our, seeing who else, what other comments. Oh, yes. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And oh my gosh, one of the coolest shows I think on the Breakthrough Show Network is Beyond 2D, and I think it's weekly Tuesday nights. Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, and frequently the topics tend to flow in and align with each other without having planned it. So if you want more amazing breakthroughness, if you want to break through your nuts, then join Jessica at Beyond 2D tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. And join me next week on a pre-recorded show, because I am actually taking time off work. I do not remember the last time I took time that was completely schedule free. And next week I'm doing that. So you're going to see an amazing, oh my God, an amazing pre-recorded show with Justin Neely, the language director of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation. And I will possibly be in the comments, either on Facebook or on YouTube, probably on YouTube. So you may see me in the commentary during the show. But it's a really, really good show about freedom and sovereignty and language and spirituality. And we touched on lots of stuff and we went deep. So I look forward to seeing your comments on the show and then seeing you the week after that. In August, we're going to start a new theme for August, and it's resiliency. So we'll see you there. And Paula, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this nutty adventure. Remember, personal growth and wellness are journeys best taken together. Keep exploring, keep growing, and don't forget to show me your nuts next time.